Yeah, New Year's resolution. So what I wanted to talk about was, I haven't got like a formula of how to make a resolution. I just wanted to talk about some things that in the last few months, because the last few months have been quite like reflective and quite impactful on my life. So I wanted to share some things that I've learned from the last few months and relate it to how to make resolutions. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is, so we've got like a 5-step plan how to make resolutions. And our first step is understanding our goal. In life it's really important to have a vision or have a goal, because when you have a vision towards something, then everything else in your life can mold around it. For example, has anyone ever studied marketing or anything like that? So like, when they do marketing, so for example like Steve Jobs or someone in marketing, when they have their brand Apple, they have a vision of Apple. They want Apple to be like this, they want Apple to be simple, or they want Apple to be used by everyone in the world. So he has a vision of what he wants. So then everything he does, everything in his company, everything flows to that. But when we don't have a vision in life, we just end up choosing anything. Any opportunity that life throws up, we can take it, because we have nothing to judge on what we should take stuff for and what we shouldn't do stuff for. So like, yeah, and it's really important to have a good, like, at least try and think of having a vision at a young age, because we'll have to start picking A-levels and GCSEs and all that stuff, and that'll practically change your life, because, like, for example, I didn't take chemistry, so then I straight away reduced my, like, I can't become a doctor. And so then my whole life has to shape around this decision that I made at a young age. If I thought about it a lot more, what I want to do in my life, maybe I would have done different things. So it's really important that, even though everyone here is quite young and probably not at university yet, it's still important to think about a vision and a goal in life. And I'm guessing we'll all come to this jamming program. I mean, most of you come for a second or third time, but we all come to here for something. Like, we all have a certain attraction that brings us back to a Krishna conscious event. It could be the people, like you just got good friends here so you come along, or you really like the kirtans, or you think the talks are really funny, obviously not like tonight. But you have different things, and some people just come for the prasad, which is also fine. But we have something that pulls us back to a Krishna conscious event. And so what we have to do is we have to find that thing that really does pull us back, and then keep hold of that and do more and more of that, because that will improve and strengthen our vision and our goal. And because we're at a spiritual program, I want to make an emphasis on why our vision and our goal in life should be a spiritual goal and not a material goal. And because a spiritual goal can lead us to a lot more happiness. I think we've all probably heard the talks about how material happiness is like temporary and it can run out quickly, whereas spiritual happiness is eternal and lasts for a long time. So I wanted to tell a story that I've told before, and if you've heard it, I'm sorry. It's about Alexander the Great. Everyone heard of Alexander the Great? Yeah. So Alexander the Great, he basically conquered the whole world. He was probably the first person in like Greek history to conquer all the countries, ruled over the whole land. And then when he was about to die, he suddenly became like a really deep philosopher. And he said, so he was on his deathbed, and he told his ministers, I want you to do 3 things for me. So his ministers were like, okay, fine, we'll definitely do it. We're like, we love you, Alex, you're the best, you're the coolest. We want all your money when you die, so we'll do anything for you. So the ministers said they'll do it. So Alex said, firstly, what I want you to do is, where my grave will be, I want you to lay the road from my house to my grave with all the gold I've won in my travels. So the ministers were thinking, okay, that's a bit weird, but we'll do it. And then Alex then said, he said, when I die, I want my physicians or the doctors to carry my coffin on their shoulders. So then he thought, okay, doctors aren't really that strong, but if you really want it, we'll have to do it, I guess, isn't it? And then the third thing he asked for was that when I'm in the coffin, normally when someone's in a coffin, they close the coffin so you don't see it because it's quite like a disturbing sight. But Alex asked that, when I'm in the coffin, can you please put my hands outside the coffin? My hands like this. So the minister says, fine, we'll do it, but why do you want us to do this? They asked him, like, politely, they asked him just for an explanation. And so then Alex replied with 3 answers. He said, I want all my gold and all my rubies and jewels to be laid out on the floor in front of me to show them that all this wealth that I've got, I can't take with me. He said that all this wealth that I've acquired in my life is insignificant when I'm dead. I can't use it for anything. No matter how good my tomb looks, no matter how good my body looks, I can't use any of it. Then he said, they said, okay, well, why do you want your physicians to carry your body? And then he said, even with the most wealth, the best doctors, I still can't survive death. So he's making the point that everyone's going to die, and everyone who acquires many things in their life will die. And they can't take those things anywhere else. And then he said, okay, so what about this empty hand thing? And then he made the point that I want the world to know that I came into the world empty-handed, and I'm going to leave the world empty-handed. So he's again making the point that whatever we acquire in this world, whether it's skills, talents, money, fame, beauty, whatever we achieve, it's not necessarily a bad thing, and it can have a really good positive influence on the world, but we're not going to be able to take it after we die. That's it. It stops there, right? That makes sense, right? So there must be something that doesn't just stop there and goes with it. And so we understand the concept of the soul, and how the soul, once we die, moves to another body. And the soul, what it takes is with the soul, there's something called the eternal bank account. And that's activities that are performed on the level of the soul. So the activities performed on the level of the body stay where the body is. So say you become an amazing musician, or if you're like Akash, you become an amazing dancer. Once you leave your body, your dancing body is going to be in your grave. And that skill that you've acquired will just stay in your grave. Whereas if you act on something and become something and do something amazing on the level of the soul, it will travel with you to your next body. Does that make sense? So coming to jammings and having a spiritual goal, having a spiritual foundation is like acting on the soul, and it's something we can take away with us every time, every lifetime. So it's something much deeper and much more profound than having a material goal. So if our foundations are based on spiritual principles, then we'll do something in our life that will really count and make a big difference in the future. It's very difficult to make vows. I don't know if anyone, again, 3 or 4 people said they made resolutions and things, but has anyone ever found that the day you make a resolution or a New Year's resolution, you're tested? Like, as soon as you start making the resolution that I'm definitely not going to eat chocolate cake, that's the day your mom decides to make chocolate cake for the first time in 6 months. It's like, that always happens. I mean, it happens to me. Not with chocolate cake, with other things. But it always happens. So one Gogo Padre, who came on the trip last year, was telling us a story where he sometimes vows for 4 months, there's a special 4 months in the year, for 4 months he stops eating all sweets, and he really loves white chocolate. So the day he vowed to eat those sweets, this family just arrived from Belgium to India, and they had the best, finest white chocolate from the best Belgian chocolatiers, and they came and said, Gogo Padre, this is for you. And he's sitting there thinking, why didn't you come yesterday? Like, he was really annoyed, basically. But the point is that as soon as he made the vow, then he was tested. And then this will happen in our life a lot. So how do we get over these tests? It's explained that if the vow is deep enough and the resolution is strong enough within ourselves, then we'll be able to overcome it. Like the spiritual teachers, so like Srila Prabhupada and his previous teachers, it says that when they took a vow, it was like engraving a mark into stone, and that can't be removed and can't be dampened. That's how strong their resolution was. And in Krishna consciousness, what we do is we pray to receive strength to perform any activity. So one of the points we'll come on to later is blessings, but one point I wanted to make now is there's this story in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is, okay, if I say any words that are a bit like, I don't know what I'm talking about, just stick your hand up and I'll explain it, so don't worry about that. Because probably other people have the same question. So what happens in the Vedic literatures often is that there's demons and there's demigods, and they often get into conflict. So one time what happened is, they were both trying to find this pot of nectar. Nectar would allow them to live immortally. So when they were trying to find this pot of nectar, the only solution was that it was underneath a mountain, and they had to churn this mountain, kind of like how you churn butter. They had to churn this mountain to get the nectar, and once they got the nectar, they would live immortally. But they were unable to lift the mountain because it's a mountain. How can you lift a mountain? So they prayed to God. They prayed to Vishnu and said, Vishnu, can you come help us? So Vishnu came and he picked up the mountain and he put it in the ocean, so that now the mountain is kind of easier to move around because it's kind of sliding around. So they start trying to slide it around, but they realize they need something for it to pivot on. So then Vishnu takes the form of a tortoise called Kurma, and Kurma then puts the mountain on his back and allows stability for the mountain. Now the mountain is stable, they churn the mountain and they get the nectar. And the lesson we learn there is that, that we're taught is that if we want stability or if we want depth in our goals, we can pray to Kurmadev, and Kurmadev can give us that stability. So whenever we're looking to make a vow, we should first try and understand from this perspective that we can ask Kurmadev for blessings. I'm sure you've all heard of that pastime before, but it's just a different way to learn from it. So step one in making resolutions is having a deep and having your goal, set your aim and you set your target. At the end of the talk, we'll try and come up with some resolutions if we've got time. I don't know, we'll probably end about 9:30. Just keep it really quick, keep it short. The second step into making resolutions is to letting go of bad habits. So most of the time we try and make a resolution because we're trying to correct a bad habit, right? That's the normal thing. But it's very hard to let go of habits because they become very strong and become very used to them. One time there was this beggar and he really wanted to become rich, and his whole thing in life was just to become rich. So he was walking around the streets, just looking, begging, 10 hours a day, 20 hours a day, whatever he could do to try and get money. And finally he saw on the bus, he said, the secret to being rich is in this book. So he found an advert for this book, and he finally somehow got the copy of his book. He begged for like 10, 20 pounds and got this copy of this book. And he read the book, and he read the book, and he kept reading the book, and he couldn't find the secret. Like, it was just talking about getting an education and whatever. It was like, it was irrelevant for him. And then finally he found a piece of paper in the book, and the book said, and the piece of paper said, go to this beach, and on this beach you'll find a touchstone. And what a touchstone is something that whatever you touch, any rock you touch it to, it turns into gold. So then you'll instantly have unlimited wealth, right? So he found, I finally found my secret in life. I'm going to go to this beach and find this touchstone. And then the book said, on this beach there are thousands and thousands of pebbles, but the only pebble that is warm will be the touchstone. So he thought, okay, fine, now I know what to do. So he goes to the beach and he starts kind of like picking up all the pebbles, but if you can imagine, in the pebbled beach, there's like 10, 20,000 pebbles. So he thought, how do I know which one I've touched, which one I haven't? So what he starts doing, he gets a pebble, he feels it's cold, he throws it into the river. Then he gets another pebble, he throws it into the sea, throws it into the sea. So he was doing this 5 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours every day. He did it for 1 week and he didn't lose hope. He still didn't find it, but he didn't lose hope. Then 2 weeks he did it, then 3 weeks he did it, then 4 weeks he did it. He ended up doing it for 6 months. And he was just used to picking up the pebble and throwing it, picking up the pebble and throwing it, picking up the pebble and throwing it. And then finally he picked up the warm pebble, but because he was so used to throwing it, what did he do? He just threw it into the sea. And he just lost his whole opportunity. Because he was so conditioned by this bad habit, then it becomes second nature. So like that, conditioning and bad habits are very strong within us, right? And everyone has like some bad habits. I'm not going to ask you guys to share it. But yeah, we all have bad habits, and so like this beggar, we become stuck with these bad habits. But there are 2 things we can do to get rid of bad habits. Once there was a guru, and the guru had 2 disciples, and he gave the disciples a challenge. He said, okay, I've got these 2 rooms in my house, and I want them to be completely filled. You have to fill them up with whatever you think you can fill them up with. And the 2 completely empty white rooms. But he says the catch is, I'm only going to give you £10. And you have to fill the whole room with £10. So the disciples were thinking, how can we fill a whole room with £10? Furniture is so expensive, it costs like £7,000 to fill it up, and what do? So finally, one of the disciples thought, okay, fine, I've got an idea. Let me go to a scrapyard and get loads of rubbish. And if I fill the whole house with rubbish, I'll be able to fill it with £10, and I can put a few nice things to make sure it smells alright, so the guru doesn't get annoyed at me. So that's what he does. He comes in and he sees it, and the guru comes in and sees it and says, okay, fine, you've done the task, but this wasn't what I was looking for. And the second disciple said, Guru, I've done the task as well. And the guru said, okay, good. And then the disciple gave the guru £8 back. And the guru thought, wow, how did you do it in only £2? And what the disciple had done, is because it was a dark white room, he got a lamp and lit it. So it filled the room with air. And he got an incense stick. And the lamp lit the room with light, obviously. And he got an incense stick and burnt it, and he filled the whole room with fragrance. And so the guru said, you've done it perfectly. because you filled your life, he compared the room to our life, and what the first disciple had done, he filled his life with junk. And often we tend to do that, like, if we're depressed, we just eat junk food, or like, you know, you see in movies that girl that broke up with that guy and just eats in that cookie bag or whatever, like, that kind of stuff happens. So that's like filling our life with junk. We just go into negative things, not positive things, and just do anything we can to fill up our time, fill up our life, occupy our mind. But the other disciple, the Guru said, you filled up your life with two things. You filled up your life with the light of knowledge and the fragrance of service. And those are the two things we can do to get over bad habits. One of the best ways to get over a bad habit is to have the intelligence to understand why it's bad. So many people, when they, like, for example, a lot of adverts, like I was going to work today and at Liverpool Street Station there was this advert, and there was an advert of a cigarette, and the cigarette was melting into a lung, and then the lung was disintegrating because it was kind of making the point about lung cancer. And so then, like, even the government are trying to stop people from smoking because it's like kind of really bad for people's health, and obviously the government are doing it to reduce the NHS bill, but anyways. So they're trying to do it on the intelligent platform that if I understand the negative effects of my habit, then I'll get over it, right? And the other way to do it is, so one is theoretical understanding, but then service gives a practical application of it, replacing it with something higher. So it's very hard to, like, that's the reason they came up with these nicotine patches or these vapor, I don't know if you've seen the vapor things. We have that at work all the time. Someone was trying to do it in the office and I was like, okay. But anyways, because technically it's legal apparently, because it's just water or whatever it is, I don't know, but he got a lot of dirty looks and stopped. But you have to replace any bad habit you want to change, you have to replace it with something higher. So coming and doing service and jamming, or going to the temple to do service, or even just anything you can find that's higher than what you want to replace and gives you more of a higher taste, then that'll make the bad habit very easy to put away. So the very important thing about making resolutions is trying to let go of our bad habits, but making the resolution in such a way that it replaces what enjoyment or what pleasure we used to get out of the bad habit. Does that make sense? Alright. So that's step 2. So now, step 3. Step 3 is to get blessings. So step 3, 4, 5 are 3 B's. The 3 B's that I've been thinking about over the last few months. And one very important part about Krishna consciousness, one very important part about life, is actually to get good wishes and to get blessings from people. Blessings are very protective. You've probably all heard of the concept of networking. Networking, right? Having a good network. Like, so at work, all they tell us is, make sure you network with this guy, make sure you network with this guy, make sure you network with this guy. Because when you network with someone, and when you have a good connection with someone, they can help you to do something later. So networking is just another form of getting blessings and good wishes from someone else. So that you can use what they're giving you later. They give you protection in certain situations. Like, today I had to, so basically I missed my training deadline. So the really big boss was really angry, so he was going to give me a call. But I knew someone he really liked, so I told that guy, oh, I made a mistake, I had this, and please tell him I'm really sorry. And so he told him that, and I got off the hook totally. And I was totally protected just because I had the good wishes of this guy. So blessings are very powerful and protect you. Have you all heard of the Mahabharata? So in the Mahabharata, there's two teams, effectively, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. The Pandavas are good, and the Kauravas are evil. So the point about blessings comes out very strongly in this. The Kauravas had an army of 11 Akshoni Senas, which whatever that means. So that's like hundreds of thousands of foot soldiers, tens of thousands of elephants, 50,000 horses or whatever. And the Pandavas only had 9. So they had a much smaller army. But the thing is, the Pandavas, although they had less strength, they had the power of blessings. As soon as the war started, the head of the Pandavas, he went from his part of the battlefield to the opposition part of the battlefield to ask for blessings. Because he did that, he got the blessings of the other team and he was able to win. Whereas Duryodhan was the head of the Kauravas, and he couldn't even get blessings from his own house. He was that evil. And because of that, he wasn't able to win. So halfway through the war, what happened is that his mother, Duryodhan's mother is Gandhari, and Gandhari had made a vow that she'll cover her eyes for her whole life because her husband was blind. And by doing this austerity, she gained a lot of power and a lot of Shakti. So she was able, but anyone she looked at, she could make them steel framed. So he would become totally invincible. He'd become like Iron Man or whatever, like something like that. So Gandhari said, Duryodhana, okay, you guys are losing the war, I don't want you to die, so come here. And I'll come to me, and you have to come to me without any clothes on, because if you have clothes on, then it'll block my vision and my ability to protect you. So Duryodhana said, that's fine, you're my mother, I can come to you like that, whatever. So he thought it was fine. So Duryodhana took his bath, and then he was walking towards his mother's house to get these blessings. And then Krishna comes, and Krishna sees, Duryodhana, how dare you walk to your mother's house like this? You haven't got any clothes on, how disgusting are you? You know, at least cover up the private areas, man. Like, oh, what the hell is wrong with you? So Duryodhana felt like ashamed and shocked, so he kind of covered himself up a bit. And so he covered himself up, but went in front of his mother and said, Mother, I'm here, now bless me. So his mother took off her blindfold, and it's kind of like Bollywood style, and everything went really slow, and she started looking from his feet, looking up, and looked to his whole body. And after she looked at his face, she said, you idiot. And he was like, well, what happened? She said, why did you listen to me? Why did you put these clothes on? Now, if Bhima hits you in the area that you've covered, you'll die. I can't protect you now. I can make your whole body steel frame, but I can't protect you now because you've disobeyed my order. And then they said, no, please bless me that I'll win. And then his mother said, I can't bless you that you'll win, because she said, I can't bless you that you'll win. So he couldn't even get blessings from his own house, let alone from other people. So regardless of such a big army, he still lost. And the one important thing is, we have to understand what a real blessing is. Like, some people think that blessings are like, oh, I'll get really good grades. If I go to the temple, then I'll get really good grades. And like, I'm looking at Phuket right now. Like, sometimes what happens is, the temple president of the temple was telling us that sometimes people send them letters saying, please find these £10, I want 10 A stars. And then, so they're kind of like praying and like, with the motive of getting something back. So then one time he replied saying, due to inflation, price for 10 A stars is now £100, please send it back. So they do funny stuff like that because they know it's not going to happen. Because the guy probably didn't revise, he's not going to get 10 A stars anyways. But yeah, one time, Srila Prabhupada, he was on a train and he was doing some work, and while he was doing his work, this old Indian man came to him and said, oh, Swamiji, please bless me. And Prabhupada wasn't like in the mood for it, like he was really busy, so he kind of ignored him. And then he said, and then the man said, no, please Swamiji, please bless me. And then Swamiji said, okay, I bless that your material life, your prosperity, and everything you own is lost. And the man was like, oh crap. And he was like, no, please, I don't want this. And then Prabhupada said, no, I blessed you now you must go. And then this person was totally shocked, totally bewildered. And Prabhupada was trying to teach the point of what a true blessing is. A blessing is not an external result at the end of the day. A blessing is not getting money, a blessing is not this or that. A blessing is actually an opportunity to engage in activities that will stay with us on our next life. A blessing is really an opportunity to do service, an opportunity to come to jamming. Actually, just being at jamming shows that you're all blessed. We're all very fortunate to be here. Me being able to speak this talk, I'm very fortunate that I've got this opportunity. That's actually a blessing. So this is what a true blessing is. And blessings are actually quite easy to come by. If you want to get blessings, there's a secret. And the secret of, did you do well? And the kid said, oh, Dad, the doctor's son in our class, he failed. And the dad said, okay, fine, whatever, but what did you get? And then the kid said, oh, but Dad, do you know the lawyer's son, he also failed? And the dad was like, okay, fine, but what did you get? I'm asking you. And then the kid said, oh, Dad, do you know the neuroscientist's son? Yeah, he failed, man. And the dad's like, shut up now, I want to know what you got, I really want to know what you got. And then the son said, well, the doctor's son failed, the lawyer's son failed, the neuroscientist's son failed. Who the hell do you think you're? Do you think you're Albert Einstein that I would have passed? And so the son failed as well. And his point was that when... There's not really a point to that joke. Moving on. It's actually really, it's much more fun in Hindi, but anyways, we'll skip past that. So, one of the points about Krishna consciousness is that it's very difficult for us to achieve things by our own strength. Actually, we're very dependent on blessings and good wishes and help from other people. Like, even when we're at school, it's not like we get good grades by ourselves. Maybe he's got the bouncer, uncle. It's not that we get good grades by ourselves. We get good grades because our teachers teach us, our friends help us, and we go through all these things. So it's very important to get these blessings. And so there's a secret how to get blessings, and the secret is taught in the Ramayana. So as we spoke about, there's demigods, and demigods take care of different functions in the universe. So one demigod is in charge of the sun, one demigod is in charge of the whole wind, one demigod is in charge of the rain. So they're in charge of different things. And everyone heard of Ravan? So Ravan is the demon in the Ramayana, and he was so powerful that we can't even imagine. Oh yeah, Ravi's roles are Ravan in the show. So Ravan was so powerful that we can't even imagine. Like, sometimes we think, okay, he's a demon with 10 heads, but how powerful is he really? He's so powerful that in his kitchen, in his house in Lanka, the demigods were cutting vegetables. So that's how powerful he was. He had the demigods doing the most minor things. Literally like Surya and Indra, who control the planets and suns, they're like cutting courgettes for his like lunch and stuff like that. So that's how powerful he was. He was so powerful that his palace, so the planetary system is like Mars, I'm not the neuroscientist son. So there's like 9 planets or whatever, if you count Pluto. And Ravan's house was so big that the steps to his house were the 9 planets. So you'd have to step over each planet to get to his house. One time there was one planet called Shani, and this planet often brings bad luck. And anyone Shani looks at gives bad luck to. So Shani had his face down when Ravan was stepping on him. And Ravan said, turn your face. And then Shani said, no, you don't want that to happen, you don't want that to happen. And Ravan said, no, turn your face right now. So Shani turned his face and looked at Ravan. And then it's explained that from that point onwards, Ravan's luck changed. Because of his arrogance, his luck changed. And so Ravan was so powerful that the demigods were cutting vegetables in his house. And he was so powerful that he was walking over these Mars, Venus and stuff to get to his house. So the demigods thought, okay, we really need to sort this out, So they prayed to Vishnu. They said, Vishnu, can you please come and kill him? Can you please do that? And Vishnu said an interesting response. And that response is the lesson of how to get blessings. He said, I can come, but there's 2 things you have to do for me to come. 1, you have to take a humble position. And 2, you have to work hard for me to give you your blessings. I'm not going to come there just because you asked and you're lazy and you don't do anything. You have to work, you have to put the endeavor to come. That's why it's explained that when Lord Ram came, there were like thousands of monkeys. So all those monkeys were actually demigods. So for a demigod to take the position of a monkey is very humbling. And then they had to work hard in the sense they had to make the bridge, they had to go look for Sita all over the lands. So how to get blessings is very easy. You have to do these 2 things. Keep a humble disposition, because no one really likes an arrogant person. Like, I know in The Apprentice they think they like people who are arrogant, but no one really likes arrogant people, like, at the end of the day. I think we all notice that. So if someone's humble and if someone's very kind and nice, they're liked. And then the other thing is, if someone sees someone working hard, they like them as well. And a blessing is actually a good thought from someone else. So the easiest way to get blessings is to do these 2 things. Have a humble disposition and work hard in what we're trying to do, and then we will attract the blessings even without asking it. And that's very important. Whenever we make a vow or an endeavor, or whenever we start a project, we should try and seek the blessings in this way, and then there will be a power that's much stronger than us, supporting us and pushing us through. Does that make sense? So that's the first B. That's step 3 of how to make resolutions. Step 4 is balance. Balance is very important. Sometimes people do too much of one thing or too little of one thing and get too carried away with becoming Krishna conscious, or get too carried away with their studies so they forget Krishna altogether, or different things. It's like people lose the balance. So Prabhupada explains it like often we're like a pendulum, and the pendulum just keeps moving from extreme to extreme. As soon as you let go of a pendulum, it keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. And for it to find that perfect medium of stopping in the middle is very difficult, and even to find balance in our life is also very difficult. So like sometimes, there was one time where one of the monks in India, he made a vow that he won't eat anything fried for 2 years. If you can imagine, that's no chips, no samosas, no spring rolls, no chili paneer practically. Like, it's a tough vow. It's tough. So he vowed to not eat anything fried for 2 whole years. So after he had done this, he actually completed the vow. So hats off to him, he did it. But the day he completed the vow, he ate 36 portions of chips. Because when you restrict yourself so much, then as soon as you're free, you free yourself too much, right? Anyone notice that? Like, sometimes if at jamming they're serving pani puri, you see it. Like, everyone comes for 6 for pani puri. And it's like, you're probably not that hungry, but it's just because it's so attractive and everyone likes it so much, they keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back, and you just kind of go overboard. And that's like the pendulum. The pendulum is called bhoga, which means enjoyment, and tyaga, which means renunciation. And we oscillate between the two. I'm really not trying to sound. Oscillate, yeah? Thank you, Akash. We oscillate between the two, so sometimes we constrict ourselves too much, and sometimes we allow ourselves going too much. And yeah, we forget how to find the right balance, and a healthy balance is very important because it allows us to do everything that we want to, but in a sustainable way. Srila Prabhupada also gives another example about balance. He gives an example that like enjoyment, so like, as we explained, there's enjoyment and there's renunciation. And so you have to have both. You can't not have any enjoyment because then life will be dull, but you can't have unrestricted enjoyment because then you won't get any work done. You'll be on Facebook or whatever you'd like to do to enjoy yourself. So when Srila Prabhupada gives the example of enjoyment is like salt. And when you put salt, anyone cook here? You chef? Oh, you cook toast and stuff, right? Roti, okay. It's okay. When you're making the atta for the roti, you have to put salt in it, right?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, a bit. Exactly. And if you put too much, what happens?
Then the roti turn out really hard.
And if you put too little?
Then
It's tasteless.
what do you mean?
Okay, pretend it's tasteless. It's tasteless, exactly. See? Some of the chefs. So that's the same idea with enjoyment. When we put too much salt in our dishes, it becomes a bit like, yeah. And when we put too little salt, it doesn't become tasty. So enjoyment's like that. We have to have just the right amount in our life. If we have the good balance in our life, then everything around it will be tasty and plentiful. The Srimad-Bhagavatam gives the example of the horse. So he gives the example that the yogi, or the spiritual practitioner, or someone like us basically, is like a jockey, is the horse rider. And we have to learn how to balance the horse. When you pull the reins too tight for too long, the horse goes crazy. The horse goes really crazy and starts wanting to like lash out and screams and kicks and goes mad. And when you let the horse too free, then the horse goes anywhere it wants and you can't control it. So we have to find that right balance of between letting go and pulling back, and letting go and pulling back. And when we can find that right balance, then everything becomes very sustainable, very long-lasting, very fulfilling, because it's a very good concept. Sorry, one second. Yeah. So balance is very important. The definition of balance is that everything we do is in harmony. So even in our thoughts, even in our actions, even in our life, we should try and have a balanced approach. When someone's too extreme, what happens? Casey?
Huh?
When someone's too extreme, what happens?
They explode or something like
Exactly,
that?
yeah, Paris or something like that.
Oh jeez, yeah, I guess.
When someone's too extreme in their thought pattern or too extreme in their life, they do crazy stuff. Like, extreme either way. If they're too controversial, or if they're too fired up or explosive, whatever you want to say, it's like, they become like that, they become a bit crazy. So we have to keep a strong, good balance. The main thing about balance, the best thing about balance is that when you're balanced, you have like a relaxed mind, Like, you can relax and you can do what you want to do. Like, if you have a conflict, say you have a conflict, like, you and your best friend have a conflict, and is your mind peaceful? Your mind's not peaceful, right? You keep thinking, should I send that text, should I not? Should I put the smiley face or not? Is it the right time? Or how many O's in the lol? Like, you know, all these things go through our mind. I know it happens to you, Nanda, you know. You sent me too many O's, man. So like, we think about all these like little things. If we have a conflict, so our mind goes crazy and our mind can't relax. So when we're balanced and when we're peaceful, then our mind can relax. And then when our mind can relax, we're very effective and efficient in everything we do. We'll do our studies better because we can focus. We'll interact with our parents better, like we won't shout or get as angry or quickly or fed up or annoyed. We'll be able to spend time with our friends better. Everything works better when your mind is peaceful. And that can only happen when we have a balanced situation. When our health is okay, when we're satisfied emotionally, mentally, physically, all these things are in balance, and most important, spiritually. So all these things are very important. Like Brian Dyson, he was the CEO of Coca-Cola, ex-CEO of Coca-Cola, and he gave a speech once as he was leaving Coca-Cola, leaving his job, and he said life is like, every person in the world is like a juggler, and life is like the juggling balls. He said, we have five balls that we're constantly juggling. One is our work, one is our health, one is our relationships, one is our family, and one's our friends, and one's our spirituality. And he said that our work, the ball that represents our work is like a rubber ball. If we drop it, it will bounce back up. If you lose your job, you're likely to get another one. If you mess up one thing here or there, you're still likely to kind of pick it up and get back on with it. But the other four are all like glass balls. And because they're like glass, as soon as you drop it, what happens if you drop a glass ball? It'll snap or crack, or it'll have a mark that can't be fixed perfectly. So if we mess up in our relationship with someone, like as soon as you say a harsh word to a friend, how long does that last for? Like I said, sometimes I said one thing by accident to my mother, and I'm still hearing about it 6 years later. I was like, I'm sorry, I was hungry, and I don't know what to say, whatever. So like you say a harsh word and it doesn't go back. Everyone remembers it for the rest of the time. So it's like the glass ball that's been scratched, and it can't be fully replenished. Same with our spirituality, same with our work. So what we have to do, we have to be like this juggler and maintain all five of the balls in a perfect sequence. We have to try and make sure that we're not floating towards one thing too much, but rather keeping a balance. And when we have a balance, then our mind is more peaceful, and our mind can effectively understand and act on the resolutions we want to make. Does that make sense? So that's step 4, I think. Step 4 is keeping balance. And step 5, this is my favorite step, and this is the one I've been thinking about the most, is to always think of the big picture. In life, there's always a big picture, and there's always things that happen to us that hurt us. Like, sometimes there may be some small trouble or trial or situation that happens, and then we think, when we're in that situation, we think, my whole life is coming down now, it's crashing now. My whole life is ruined, I've got nothing left. Like, or say people like, sometimes people get really emotional, like over a paper cut, they just think like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I can't write anything, I can't do anything I want. So when we go through a situation, we get very bogged down. And there's a phrase saying that when you're in the frame, you can't see the whole picture. But when you're looking at the big picture, if you're looking from a bird's eye point of view, you can see how insignificant small activities are, and small things that hurt us on a regular basis are. There's this one nice story where a king asked his ministers, oh, you know, because a king has to be very diplomatic, he said, I have to be such a diplomat, and sometimes people come to me with their problems, and I just don't know what to say, and they're just like, so many problems, and I can't be bothered to think about it too much, I've got so many things to worry about. I just want one phrase to say to everyone, and I want this phrase to be universal. I can say to anyone I want in any situation. So all the ministers were stumped, and you're thinking, like, how can you say the same thing to different people in different situations? How can you say the same thing to a person who's just lost their child as to a person who just won £1 million? And they're just racking their brains. And finally one person comes and says, I've got the phrase. So then they go and test it out in different places. So the first place they go is to the person that won £1 million. And they go to the person that won £1 million, and the minister says, and so this shall pass. And then he walked away. And then the person thought about it, and then he moved on. Then he went to the person who was grieving over her son, and he said to her, and so this shall pass. And like this, they went to different situations, different people, and he kept saying, and so this shall pass. And that is this world. Whatever we get in this world, ultimately, and so it shall pass. Like, even if we're in the most traumatic situation, eventually time will heal the situation. Even if we have the most money today, at some day we won't have the most money. It will pass. So that is like focusing on the big picture. So if a little problem does come in our life, like, so we made a resolution to, I don't know, we made a certain resolution and there's like an obstacle or there's a block to our resolution, we have to understand, and so this shall pass. This is not the end of my life. This is not the end of the situation. I can still carry on with the resolution. I may have to make some small adjustments right now, but eventually I can still carry on with it. And often in the bigger picture, we don't know what's best for us. Like they give that phrase, every cloud has a silver lining. Or so like any situation that happened to us, it can be for the good. One time there was a king and he was practicing hunting. So he would often practice hunting with his ministers. So what they would do, they would practice hunting together before he went out for real hunting. And as they were fencing, they were sword fighting, the minister cut off the king's finger slightly. Like got a slight, not paper cut because it was with a sword, but like a sword cut then on his thumb. And the king got really angry. He was ferociously angry. He said, "How dare you do this to me? Get out, get into jail, send you to prison right now." So all the guards came, sent the minister to prison. The king went out hunting, and as he was going hunting, he finally found this like place that he thought was interesting. So he went closer, deep into the forest, quietly sneaking up, and he got ambushed by his tribe. And this tribe ambushed him, and this was a tribe of people that would slaughter people to their god and offer them. So they wrapped up the king in ropes, tied him up to like a big stick, and were about to chop his head off. And suddenly one of the tribal members said, "No, wait, you can't kill him. He's impure. He's got this cut on his thumb and he's bleeding. He's not a fit offering for our God, so you must let him go." So then what the king thought was a bad thing of being cut actually turned out to save his life. So when he went back to the palace and he went to the jail, when he went to the minister, he said, Minister, look what happened. It was actually right. What you did was amazing. I'm so sorry for putting you in jail. And the minister said, "Yeah, I know, everything happens for a good reason." And then the king said, "Okay, I got killed, I got saved because I got hurt, but what happened to you? You got put into jail for no reason, you actually did a good thing." And then the minister said, "Who normally goes hunting with you?" And the king said, "Oh, you do." So if the minister had gone hunting that day, the minister would have been offered to the deity. So in both situations, what looked to be bad at the start actually turned out to be a great thing. So in life, many times this thing happens where we don't know what the big picture really is, and we don't know what the outcome of a certain test or a trial is. And actually, it can be very positive. And like I said, every cloud has a silver lining. Steve Jobs was. He gave a speech. You probably heard the speech in Stanford. And he said, life is such that you have to connect the dots backwards. You can't connect the dots going forwards. So if you're in your situation, you're trying to see what lesson to learn, what is happening now, it's very difficult. But when you connect the dots backwards, you're able to easily see what the plan was in life. Like there was this one couple who were not married. There was a Muslim lady and a Jewish man. And the Muslim lady became pregnant. And the Muslim lady, she went to her mother and said, "I'm pregnant, what do I do?" And the mother said, "You have to abort the child." And the lady was shocked. She said, "No, I can't abort my child, it's my first child." And then the mother said, "But we can't let you get married to a Jew." They were like really strong in their culture. And so then the woman said, "Okay, fine. So the mother said, "You can have the child, but you have to give him or her up for adoption straight away." So she had the child, gave the child for adoption, and she said to the parents, "Whatever you do, please give this child a good education." So the boy grew up, he got an education, he went to university, but he was at university and he was thinking, my parents are spending so much money on my university degree, and I'm not even learning anything, let me just drop out of university. So he ended up dropping out of university, and then he thought, "Oh, what do I do now? My life's kind of messed up." And then he ended up taking like some lessons in like art and stuff, or like something similar to that. And he started taking these lessons, and these lessons were totally like random and irrelevant. And then somehow or later, maybe like 10 years down the line, he's the world famous Steve Jobs. And he realized that the reason why everything happened to me, there was a reason in the end. The calligraphy lessons that he took when he was younger allowed him to make Mac what it is today. So he said you can only connect the dots backwards. So even when there's tough things in life, like he went through a lot of tough things in his life. He became homeless, he came to the temple to have prasad, that was nice. He did all these different things, and then finally his life became very successful, and he said you can connect the dots backwards. So when we look at the big picture, small things that are obstructing our goal become irrelevant. And our big picture is what we discussed at the start of trying to have some sort of spiritual goal. So, before we conclude for the session, I want you to break into groups of 3 and try and together come up with one personal resolution each. And then there's 3 things you have to answer. What is the resolution? How you're going to do it? And who's going to be accountable to knowing that you've done it? I'm only going to give you 5 minutes just to start thinking about it. And then once we've done that, we'll feedback and then we'll discuss it and then we'll conclude. Okay, just get into groups of 3. Thank you.